Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings presented by MSI. We'll talk about that later. With me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Steam's payment processing woes continuing to grow. God, that rhymed. And what the streets are saying about Pokemon Legends ZA. It's going to be a good one because we have Poke expert himself, Sean Sean McDowell, on the show. Sean, how are you doing?
I am a little tired, Jeff. I reached the Forbidden Zone in Donkey Kong Bonanza at like 11 p.m. last night. I'm like,
it was kind of hard to stop. Yeah, kind of hard to stop. Yeah, definitely.
Roll credits at like 3 a.m. or something because, I had to get every banana along the way, too.
Okay, you got the credits. That's awesome. The game does keep getting better, but that was a pretty good finale, right? To lead up to the culmination there.
Yeah, everything from entering that zone to just the end, it was all fantastic. No spoilers. I'll say the final boss fight, I found maybe a little more annoying than actually fun. I think you might know what I mean.
Yes, I think I was both relieved and annoyed. I was like, I'm glad that this is a bit more challenging, but again, it wasn't it wasn't hard. It was just harder than the rest of the bosses, and then the ways it was annoying were pretty plentiful for sure.
It felt like they amplified the difficulty of the fight itself, but then also gave that character like 10 times more health than they needed. It was a weird ramp up.
It was just weird, especially weird compared to the rest of the bosses in the game, which had 10 seconds of life in them, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very fun sequence though, and just the leading up to the boss fight was so cool. So I'm
cool.
I'm glad I got to that last night, and I'm curious to see what's after this. I kind of feel like I'm free now. I can play some Ninja Gaiden or something, but I'm gonna check out what's after credits. Nice.
Yeah. So I woke up early this morning, had a meeting, and actually before the meeting, I was like, I got some time. I'm kind of up. Let's play some Ninja Gaiden and see if I can beat this final boss fight and beat it in a couple of tries. It's really a very good game. I'm also like, okay, I updated Expedition 33, which just got a big update on my Steam Deck. So I'm like, I should play that. But I'm like, ooh, that hard mode just opened up in Ninja Gaiden. I can't play that, but it's like, I do want to go back in that game and see even more. There's some special levels I did. I'm going to try
so you know what I'm talking about with that.
Yes, exactly. So that is maybe the plan there, to give it a try. But I can't get sucked back into that game. I got credits. I'm like, I beat it. I can now move on. But yes, I recommend that game to everybody. People should check it out. Let's see if it ends up on the Bomb 12 today. We will be wrapping up the week with that later on. In the meantime, though, we should explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. giantbomb.com/join. If you want to help us, you can become a premium member. It enables us to do cool stuff, enables us to do our regular shows, to plan big things like we're doing right now. It also gets you ad-free shows, gets you some extras. And really, it just shows your support for the kinds of stuff that we do and helps us keep this community going, giving you a home on the internet away from all the mess out there. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into. Let's start the morning mess with that Steam payment headache. It's growing as PayPal is no longer usable for much of the world. Valve hopes to bring it back in the future, but the timeline is, quote, uncertain. This is from Andy Chalk at PC Gamer. Hassles with credit card processors over adult content isn't the only payment headache Steam is facing these days. Valve is also getting grief from PayPal, which is no longer being accepted as a form of payment in much of the world. Going by post about the problem in the Steam subreddit, the issue was first reported about a month ago. Users attempting to pay for purchases in countries including Switzerland, Poland, Norway, and Mexico were receiving a message saying Steam is, quote, temporarily unable to process transactions with this payment method at this time, with no further explanation. The PayPal exclusion has seemed to go largely unnoticed outside of discussions on Steam's subreddit, possibly because it seems sporadic, and perhaps also because this was right around the time Steam got caught up in a kerfuffle with Visa and MasterCard over adult content on the platform. Valve delisted a substantial number of games after being notified that some of them, quote, may violate the rules and standards set forth by our payment processors and the related card networks and banks. Indie-focused platform itch.io later de-indexed a number of games on its storefront for the same reason. Some in the Steam subreddit theorized that PayPal problem was connected to the crackdown on not safe for work games, and maybe it is, but Valve has now clarified that the issue isn't game content, but specific currencies being used. Now, let's stop there. There is an update. Rock Paper Shotgun reached out to Valve and confirmed to Rock Paper Shotgun that this withdrawal of support for Steam transactions by one of PayPal's acquiring banks, which I think, Sean, acquiring bank means one of the banks that like handles the transactions. I don't know why the word acquiring is used there, but I'm not familiar with this world. And that is okay. So one of the PayPal's acquiring banks is regarding content on Steam related to what we've previously commented on surrounding MasterCard. That is the statement from Valve. So it is related to everything else that's been happening here. In this case, one of PayPal's acquiring banks decided to stop processing any Steam transactions, which cut off PayPal on Steam for a number of currencies, a Valve spokesperson added. It does seem like this issue continues to like grow and snowball and kind of show it's revealing the amount of power that these payment processors have. Sean, I would really like to understand this world a little bit better of why is it that like PayPal and Stripe or whatever it is, it's a Stripe, that one of those like middlemen companies dominates so much of this market. It's got to be banking regulations, I would assume, that, and they're the ones that like navigated it, and now they have a stranglehold on it, and they're able to work with these other banks. I don't fully understand why they have so much power, because if I'm Valve, I go, well, now I'm going to start my own Valve Pay, but it's probably not that simple.
Yeah, I know a little bit about this, and apologies if I get any of this wrong.
Right, let's just do our best.
Any of these financial institutions, they do ultimately go through like an established bank.
An established, but that's what I assumed. Yes.
Yeah, because you can't just start up a bank, because then obviously any like illegal organization would just do that, right? So you do ultimately need to go through something that's already established higher up. It's kind of like having a parent company. Even smaller companies tend to be owned by something bigger at this point. It's kind of like that as far as I know. So like even PayPal, which we think of PayPal as being its own independent thing and processing their own payments, they are ultimately going through one of the banks in almost like a with cell phones, MVNO, like Mint and Visible and stuff is all like subdivisions of like T-Mobile and Verizon. And
they're
stuff
built
like
on top of existing networks. Yeah,
it's like that, where they have to go through a greater institution somehow that sort of aren't they the right word? Sort of like licenses out their service, I guess you'd say. It's all being routed through the same institutions. So yeah, I think that's what they mean by what'd you call it? It was
acquiring banks.
Acquiring banks. That would be like one of those banks is doing the thing that like my MasterCard is doing, where they're saying we are not engaging with this because bigot reasons. And so that's what's happening here, is that like PayPal, regardless of how they may feel, it seems like they're not being supportive in all of this either. They just can't process the payment because the institution that's above them is saying we're not doing this anymore.
I assume that like Apple Pay and Google Pay are similar kinds of things, right? That they are they probably have a underwriter bank that supports those things as well.
Yes, because like when you get, because like I know Apple has their own credit card now, but ultimately that's like fulfilled through someone else.
I think it's through I think it's through Visa or MasterCard, right? I think it all kind of
but like the banking part of it, it's like ultimately done through Chase or someone.
Sure. Yeah,
I just got my I just got the Amazon card because I need to save money on something I was buying, and I was like, oh, it's done through Chase. I think Apple is the same way.
Apple's through Goldman Sachs. There we go. Get Goldman Sachs Services, Apple Card. So okay. And all of those, there's a handful of these servicers. There's a handful of payment card companies, and they all seem to be kind of like coming after this right now, coming after adult content and causing these problems. So I've seen people throw this idea around of Valve Pay, and it's just not going to be anywhere near that simple. It would have to, like, it's going to be so complicated for them to build up their own system there. That's why I think one of the things Valve's suggesting for people that are being hit by this PayPal currency thing is go to the store and buy a Steam card with your local currency, and then you can get around this, because you could just put the money right into the account and you don't have to worry about that. And it's like, that is the solution, because all this other stuff would take years and probably a lot of money and lobbying globally. And that's just, it's kind of a non-starter in a lot of ways, even for $1 billion private corporation like Valve.
And even then, they would still have to deal with a bank somewhere in the chain. So it's easier to just go through, like, your local, like, bodega or whatever, because that's the payment processor in that situation.
I guess, like, where does it go from here? It does feel like this is not like these companies have staked out their ground, and they have made it clear, like, that they're going to kind of continue to fight this, and then when Valve's like, it's MasterCard doing this, MasterCard's like, no, we're not, we're just an innocent little company, and so MasterCard's like kind of still doing it, but pretending it's not. They don't want to have the public debate. They have come up with solutions to deal with the call volume that they were getting, all 8,000 calls a day. They've found ways to, like, sort of mitigate the exposure they have to that, getting people routed through the system faster. They're very good at those kinds of things. And so they might be able to withstand the public pressure campaign that's happening right now, which seemed like was going to be maybe the solution early on in this battle. It doesn't feel like this is going to solve itself. There's going to have to be some sort of resolution from either Valve figuring out a way to work around some of these things, which again seems very difficult, and itch.io obviously right there as well, but they don't have the resources that Valve does, or I don't know. Do government step into European regulation? I don't think they have the appetite to go in there and be like, let people buy games that have the word rape in it. That is just such a harrowing thing. If you're a politician, no one's going to want to touch that. So I don't. What's the solution here?
I have no idea at this point. It feels like one of many things that we're dealing with in the world right now, where what is the solution to the problem? And even a lot of things that you just mentioned, can we get government regulation on this and stuff? Well, administrations, not just our own, are probably going to lean to the side of, oh yeah, we don't want this stuff. Get out of here with that. And so they don't care about protecting art either. So I don't know who we get involved in it, because if we're at the level where banks are cutting off somewhere in the payment processing chain, and then we can't get a government body on our side for any of this. It feels like we're screwed at a certain point, Jeff.
And if you needed any more evidence that, like, if someone said, chat said this will push people towards crypto, which I think is a fair thought, actually. But if you need evidence that crypto isn't going to ever really be a working currency, this is the exact situation where it would apply, and none of Valve is not being like, yeah, we're going to start using Bitcoin again. They used to accept Bitcoin back in the day. They stopped doing it because it was so volatile that they would begin processing a purchase, and then the value of Bitcoin in the time of that processing would drop, and they would lose a ton of fucking money. And now maybe there are more stable coins at this point. There are literally things called stable coins, but
it's hilarious because this is the kind of situation. This is literally the kind of like well-intentioned situation that cryptocurrency was designed for. And then naturally, like anything that's well-intentioned in some form or another gets warped and twisted into this thing by the crypto bros and everything like that to be something that, oh, we don't want to touch this. This is toxic. We're not going anywhere near that.
Yep. And so it's to me more evidence that it's just never going to be the thing that they said it would be early on. But that's a separate topic.
Yeah, okay. I don't know where to go from here, Jeff. It's a confusing one.
Confusing and frustrating, and I think I'm gonna maybe spend some time this weekend really understanding how we got here. I bet Peter Thiel's involved. Fucking idiot. All right, let's keep moving. Sakurai says to expect Kirby Air Riders footage soon. This is from My Nintendo News. Masahiro Sakurai has taken to Twitter To celebrate, Sora Company Limited is celebrating its 20th anniversary, or to celebrate the 20th anniversary, I should say. And he also gave a small update on the upcoming Kirby Air Riders. Sakurai says that he hopes to share some gameplay footage of the long-awaited Kirby Air Riders soon. How soon remains to be seen, but it's likely to be showcased during a Nintendo Direct presentation. Kirby Air Riders is due to release this year on Nintendo Switch 2. Here's a rough translation of what Sakurai had to say, likely machine translated. They didn't say on my Nintendo News. It doesn't matter to most people, but today Sora Company Limited is celebrating its 20th anniversary. That's a long time. Thank you for your continued support. The new Kirby Air Rider hasn't even shown gameplay footage yet, but I think we'll be able to share some information soon. Please wait. The game's coming out this year. It's almost September. Obviously, we're going to see this soon. To me, that sounds like what he's saying, but I guess let's speculate. When do we see Kirby Air Riders?
Oh no, Jeff, are we predicting the next Nintendo Direct already?
I mean, people want to do that. I'm not ready for that. I'm with you. Oh no, let's not do that. But I guess, they usually do one in September, so I guess it's maybe safe to begin that conversation. Is that when we see this thing? I don't know.
That's when I would assume, as long as they're sticking in 2025. I'm not sure. That's a weird one because I don't know if that needs to release 2025 Kirby Air Riders. Because who are you bringing in with that? You're bringing in the kids, I guess, who have played a Kirby game on the Switch 1 or something, which I guess those kids aren't very young anymore either, for that matter. Or you're bringing in like the old heads like us who remember Kirby Air Ride from back in the day. And also, a lot of us don't actually like Kirby Air Ride, so
I like it, but I was never pining for a new one. I mean, you're getting to the heart of the matter of Kirby Air Riders, so Sean, who is this game for?
Yes.
And it's for one person on Earth.
It's for Sakurai.
It's for Sakurai. yeah, exactly.
It's like, I can do this better this time around. Let's go.
Yeah, and Nintendo's like, fuck, we really want to keep this guy happy. So yes, go do your thing. We will help. We'll fund the game. We'll do the whole. We'll give it Kirby again. Let you go to town with your favorite character. Yeah.
I fired it up on the Wii the other night just to see, like, am I right about this? Fired up. That game is balls, man. That game is. That's a weird idea for a game. Single button racing game.
Yeah, I loaded it up on the GameCube, the Magic GameCube, and was playing it the other day as well. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not great. It just doesn't feel as good as it should. It's like the idea of power sliding through every turn, the one button gameplay. It's like I appreciate what's happening here. I just don't love playing it the way that I thought I should.
Yeah, when our friend John Linneman, known Balan Wonderworld defender, is like, this game sucks, you have a problem on your hands.
Yes, that's true. Although, man, that Balan Wonderworld take, John, I'll never forgive you, bud. All right, we'll see. I guess if September is when they usually do directs, that's when I would put my money on it.
Yeah. Otherwise, maybe it gets bumped, because I think the point I'm trying to get at here is I'm not sure we need this one this holiday season. This might be like a really nice March game or something.
Yeah, that's possible. And if we see it soon, the direct, sure, they could pop it off on a Nintendo Today app update or something like that. But who knows? That September direct probably is going to happen. They always want to set up their holiday. So yes, I think we see it there. Pokemon Legends ZA Switch 2 hands-on previews are all over the place this morning, Sean. I kind of tried to collate some of the information here. Hands-on demonstrations of Pokemon Legends ZA revealed significant changes to the series' battle system, moving from turn-based combat to real-time action, stuff that we saw before. Players control their trainers during battles, with Pokemon following their movement and attacks governed by cooldowns. That's new. This new system encourages dodging, strategic positioning, and quick decision making. The demo featured two main sections: trainer battles in a battle zone, and a boss fight against a rogue Mega Evolved Absol, where players collect Mega Power Orbs to activate Mega Evolution. While the city environment and scripted segments were less appealing to some, the smooth 60 frames per second performance on the Nintendo Switch 2 and the engaging combat system were highlights. The new mechanics allow for more dynamic fights, according to a lot of these previews, and the potential for greater challenge, though some elements like visual feedback for cooldowns could be improved. The game is set to release on October 16th for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, with many questions about its full scope and long-term appeal remaining coming out of these previews. That's sort of like that's the tenor of most of the previews. Is people were mostly impressed by the combat system. They're like, it's not. I saw someone say, it is more dynamic than ever, although it's still maybe a far cry from feeling like a full Ash Ketchum animated battle. Which, I guess I was never really expecting that. But sort of kind of getting moving in that direction sounds exciting for this other version of Pokemon now. Where are you at with Legends ZA? How are you thinking about it? What's up?
I'm looking forward to it. Like when it first got revealed and the trailer we saw after that, I am excited for the fact that they are trying something at least resembling a real-time combat system. Very Xenoblade is the comparison that I've heard a lot now. That's sort of like MMO combat, but it's offline a little bit. So, the Pokemon might basic attack or something like that, but then your abilities, you have them on cooldown, your Pokemon attacks, stuff like that. I think it's cool. I really like the direction that they're heading in with this. I haven't had a chance to look at any of the hands-ons myself yet. If anyone's wondering, it's because the World Championships is happening this weekend, and who's out there, they have a demo there. So I assume that we'll see even more about this. Nothing else. Joe Merrick Therapy will keep going through the line and break it all down for us or whatever. But yeah, it seems like, as far as I can tell, what we saw from those trailers, and I'm happy because that's the Legends series, as we saw with Arceus, is their opportunity to try something new and different. And the older generation of Pokemon fans or lapsed fans are always saying, hey, I want a more difficult Pokemon game. I want a Pokemon game with new mechanics. Well, they're not going to do that for the mainline ones because they want to keep selling 25 million plus every single time from the kids who like that formula. But this is for you. The Legends games are for you. That's what you're looking for. And it seems that if they've learned from Arceus and they're doing some interesting stuff with it, like I'm looking here, you collect Mega Power Orbs to activate Mega Evolution. That's different than how it was done in X and Y. So I guess that fits in with the more real-time element of it. That's cool. I like that. And I think that's what people who are looking for something fresh out of Pokemon would be looking for as well.
Yeah, I've said it before. I really liked Arceus. I am looking forward to this. I hope it sort of hits the same nerve for me because what they have shown off so far does look promising. At the same time, yeah, you're right. They don't need to change. I don't know if they don't need to. They won't change the formula of the main games. And I'm okay with that.
They do, and it pisses off Mike Minotti every goddamn time, Jeff. They change one little thing. He's like, now it needs to be like red and blue.
I just need the visuals to really catch up. Obviously, that's that's a very cold take at this point. But someone's posted I think it was Andy Cortez posted a video, some new indie RPG coming up that's sort of HD 2D adjacent. It just had really sharp DS style sprites. In an HD, awesome looking world. And it's just what if Pokemon looked like that? That would be awesome. And they're just so far away from that right now.
Maybe this is a good time to mention I'm over HD 2D.
No, I mean, you're definitely not the only one. I've heard that a bunch now. I just think that
but Game Freak needs to step it up. For the love of God, they're stuck in early 360. They need to hire more people. They need to hire new artists. Do something.
Right, early 360 is exactly it. They are just putting out HD visuals because that's what they're supposed to do, without any real feeling of artistic intent behind their choices. And that's what I want. I just want them to feel like they stylized their game.
Yeah, it's the classic problem that no one actually wants to attribute. It's management. They're being mismanaged. It's not the artist's fault that they have to crunch out a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
That's why they're taking more time on this one. So yeah, hopefully Gen 10 looks a lot nicer, even if it's not up to the quality that we expect out of first party Nintendo or something. Hopefully they've done something to smooth that out over there.
All right. You know what? Let's take a break. We got some ads to get to. We'll come back after this. You want ad-free version? Go to giantbomb.com/join. Jan, my computer's sick. I've decided it's time to start building a new one. I just don't know where to start.
Grub, if your computer is sicky poo, you got to start with MSI, which just dropped something big in its brand new Z890 and B860 Intel motherboards.
Are those the motherboards that unlock the power of the Intel Core Ultra Series 2 CPUs?
Yes, sir. These Mobos, as we're calling them on the streets, are powerhouses for gaming, streaming, and whatever intense tasks you need to throw at them.
Okay, but Jan, you know me. I'm scared of tools. That screwdriver's so sharp.
It's okay, bud. MSI made them Jeff-proof and maybe Dan-proof as well, which means they're easy to work with. No more wrestling with tiny little screws or confusing manuals. We're talking easy debug LEDs that tell you exactly what's going on. Toolless installs for your M2 drives and GPUs, or GPUs. We're calling them GPUs too now.
Okay, hell yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. MSI has that modern BIOS as well that looks like it was actually made for humans to use, not some relic from 2003. Give me more of that.
Yes, that's right. It's going to be so easy to get secure boots on the ground. It's like PC building on easy mode grub. And here's the best part. Giant Bombcast listeners, MSI is giving you 10% off these new regularly priced Z890 and B860 boards. Just head over to us-store.msi.com and use promo code BOMBCAST at checkout. Boom, instant savings.
I'm going to stack that discount. They allow you to do that. And with MSI's got ongoing promotions, that's potentially going to score me up to $120 in Steam codes. That's basically free games just for upgrading. Everyone listening should do the same.
So if you're ready to upgrade your setup, do not wait. Visit us-store.msi.com and use the code BOMBCAST, BOMCAST, all in lowercase, and give your PC the upgrade it deserves.
MSI, making PC building less of a headache and a lot more fun.
Mobo!
We're back. Game S Mornings. Yeah, thank you very much. That's Sean. I'm Jeff. We'll get back into the headlines now. The next Resident Evil remakes are Code Veronica and Zero, according to rumors. This is from Dusk Golem, who is the source of the rumors on Twitter. He writes the next remakes are Resident Evil Code Veronica and Resident Evil Zero. They should be releasing in 2027/2028, like one per year, though they are unclear about when each one will come out specifically. So it'll be one, then the other. He just doesn't know what order they're going to come out in. I think it's probably going to be Code Veronica then Zero. I also think these are the right ones to remake at this time. They shouldn't jump. They should not jump ahead to 5. Do these first, right?
Yeah, you don't need to remake an HD era game, contrary to what Naughty Dog wants you to believe. Like, those games stand alone well enough with their PC versions and their current gen ports. Also, these games kind of suck. So please remake them into something good so that they fit right in with all of the other remakes and updated versions that they've been putting out. Make something that has potential. Be kind of cool, you know?
Yes, I always love the idea of Resident Evil Zero specifically, and it's just, man, that execution wasn't there. So just take those ideas, run it through the filter of what they've done with Resident Evil 2, even Resident Evil 3, and that should work. That should be a great game, actually. I bet that game's gonna be really good. So let's get both of these done right now, and I think it's easy to guess that these games are going to get remade. They've had so much success with Resident Evil at this point. I do hope that this is accurate, though. Okay, but they get done with these two games. We're in 2028, Sean. We're having the same conversation about what they're remaking next. At that point, they probably do something with Resident Evil 5 at that point, right?
Well, you think they're more likely to do one again than
that's definitely a possibility. I mean. One is they definitely are going to remake one again at some point.
They will at some point.
It's crazy, but they will.
That's maybe like the one they finish on, even out, because I really don't think you need to remake 5 or 6. Just let those stand alone. One maybe. One would be interesting to see in the style of RE2 remake, because all we have of that is the original and the GameCube remake, which is really just a complete graphical overhaul, extra content and stuff, sure, but is super faithful. I would kind of like to see what they do with bringing that into the other formula.
Yeah,
I don't know. I also think that would do really well with a modern audience, especially if you market it the right way, because it wouldn't be a reboot, but they're just like the original story and it's scarier than ever or whatever, may bring some like RE7 into it all and like have the option for
first person. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think you're right.
At least, because with 9,
yeah, good point.
I guess we still don't know exactly how 9 works, if it's an option or if it's character dependent, if it's first or third.
So when they showed us when I was sitting in that room, it was third person, and then it was first person. It was first person, and then they at the end of the demo, I wasn't playing, they were playing. They go to the menu, and in the options, it was switch from third person to first person. Or first person to third person.
Yeah, that's how they did it in the 8 DLC is what they updated to. That makes sense. I think having that option in an RE1 remake would be pretty cool. I think they are going to try to keep doing this formula as long as it makes sense and there's not intense diminishing returns. And I think doing Code Veronica, Zero, that gets you, a few more years of this. We'll see if they do 1, and then after that, I'm really curious to see where Resident Evil goes after that. Like RE10, is that what we're thinking about, where they just need to keep pushing the envelope? Because I feel like 9 would. They tend to do things in trilogies, roughly, even if there's the same characters. So I'm kind of curious to see where they would go after 9 as well.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's going to be a whole conversation at that point for sure. I'm glad we're far away from them having to figure that out. Let's just enjoy 9. You're right. What happens to Resident Evil long term? They do have, at least my understanding is, 2 teams working on the remakes, while they also have a team making the main next game. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, they outsource stuff for like the 4 remake and everything.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it's like, okay, can we expect that sort of amount of that volume of development on Resident Evil or on Capcom games at least to continue? Probably, because it's just like they don't want to cut back because it's making them money. So it's like once they get to a point where it's like we're done with Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica, and now we're figuring out what we're going to do with 1 or 5 or 6, maybe. It's like, well, yeah, but Dino Crisis is right there. And there's a bunch of other older Capcom games you can maybe begin giving the same treatment to, because you've run out of road with Resident Evil.
Don't get me started on Capcom forgetting that they have other franchises. Like
I'm forgiving
in my background somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, the fighting games that's definitely one thing. The rest of them, though, I kind of like understand at a certain point, because it's like they kind of
they have a little bit of the Xbox syndrome of like, Halo, Forza, Gears. They kind of have that a little with Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, Resident Evil. Like they don't branch out too much beyond that. Like Dragon's Dogma 2 was like, that's kind of thing like we talked about with Sakurai and Air Riders. How did that happen? Because they needed to keep people happy. That's why they made Dragon's Dogma 2.
I think it was a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B in that situation. Let's keep them happy, but at the same time, see if we can make Dragon's Dogma one of these, like a new pillar alongside these other 3 that we know are standing there. And they're probably gonna let that team now go back to Devil May Cry and kind of like, okay, let's do what the next version of Devil May Cry can be, and see if we can build that up to be that thing. But the 3 cores are working super well for Capcom.
They do. That's why
they're growing really fast. So I think they're like, let's keep doing that. But you're right. They will eventually run out of road to the point where it's like, oh, they should have been diversifying earlier. Yeah. I think they're trying to. It's just, it is difficult.
Yeah,
people want what they're familiar with.
Yeah, we have Onimusha coming out. We have the new Okami project down the road. Like they are slowly getting back into that. I do think those are maybe safer picks, and they should try something a little weirder like Dino Crisis. Like a fighting game that's not Street Fighter, please God. But yeah, they're getting better at that. And I think more importantly, Capcom's doing great right now. Nobody needs to tell Capcom what to do. We're just spitballing here. Like look at Street Fighter 6. They saved Street Fighter. Like it was in the dumps after 5. So they got some smart people over there doing great things with these franchises. So I have full faith that whatever we see next out of them, and including these Resident Evil remakes and everything, is going to be really good.
Director of Scrap The Last of Us Online says his new United States/Japanese co-production studio is making a cinematic multiplayer title. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The director of the Scrapped online spinoff of The Last of Us says he launched a new studio in Japan to make something similar. Vinit Agarwal, I'm sure I'm butchering that, who was at Naughty Dog for around a decade, was the game director of what was known internally as The Last of Us Online, But after the project was scaled back in size, the developer eventually announced in December that it had been canceled. Now, in a new interview with GameSpark, Agarwal has said that he and former Naughty Dog creative director Joe Pedinati have formed a new studio because they want to create something similar. Specifically, Agarwal explained that he wanted to make a multiplayer game that offers a level of action found in a typical single-player Naughty Dog game. My main titles were Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2, Agarwal said via machine translation. I worked on both multiplayer and single player. I was mainly in charge of boss battles, and Naughty Dog's boss battles are generally one-on-one situations. So I wanted players to feel like they were fighting a human player, not an AI, even in single player. To be more specific, I worked on the final boss in A Thief's End and the fight between Ellie and Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. I used all of my knowledge of multiplayer to create the feeling that you were fighting a human. A big part of what inspired me to go independent was seeing the potential in combining Naughty Dog's speciality, cinematic action, with multiplayer. That was always going to be the promise of, I think it was called Factions at one point, but the new version of The Last of Us Online was, we're going to bring Last of Us style storytelling and cinematic feelings to this multiplayer game. And from all accounts, that worked. That part was working. They nailed that. That was a success. The issues with that game, the reason it got canceled was it was going to be this behemoth to support. And even if they were able to support it with enough content in an ongoing way, the support they were going to be able to create due to the nature of The Last of Us probably was not going to be a huge return on investment because they weren't going to be able to bring Ronald McDonald and fucking Shakira in there as skins. So
okay, second, I realize what you're going for there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's the reason the game was canceled, not because of anything that this guy was trying to do with his vision here. So he's probably frustrated going, I know this works. I know I can do this. It already has worked. I'm just going to go do it somewhere else where I can actually put the game out and not have Bungie walk in there and be like, this will never work and my game gets canceled, which is essentially what happened here. I want to see it. I do think that, I'll tell you what, I think that there is a craving for a shakeup in the multiplayer space. I think that's, that's what was happening with Helldivers 2, where people were like, this feels a little bit different. Let's go to there. Battlefield 6 feels fresh, even though it's very familiar in a lot of ways. People are like, it's not exactly what I've been playing for the last 10 years. So I'm ready for this again. To me, that says the appetite for something that is truly fresh in this space is massive.
Yeah, and that's why we see indie games like Peak take off. And, before that, your content warnings and your lethal companies, because people do want something interesting and new to play with their friends. And that's what we get out of the indie space so often. And we so often can't really get out of the AAA space because it takes so long for one of these projects to come out because people expect something specific out of these companies that they can't do something like that. And I'm sure that's part of like where this frustration is coming from, is the fact that you have to go through so many processes, you have to go through so much red tape to get something off the ground. And dude just wants to make a game, so I can see why you would want to take that in your own direction and everything. And also we have so many the forever games, as you always call them, like your Fortnites and Call of Duties, especially with Warzone and all of these games moving in that direction, that they have stuck around for a while. And a forever game is never actually a forever game. Like, there's the exceptions to the rule, like Minecraft, that like are the top 5 exceptions to the rule ever, kind of, like League of Legends or whatever. But some of these games have been around so long that people do want something fresh, even in that space. And fresh can mean revisiting what used to work. I think that's why we see Battlefield 6 working. So, this doesn't even have to be like the most groundbreaking thing ever, as long as it has like a fresh concept and or something we haven't seen in a while. I think people would really take to that.
I think video games definitely got to a point where, it used to get to a point where people felt they had to reinvent the wheel to kind of get people's attention. And we are definitely in the era of, you don't have to do that. Give people what they want in a way that surprises them. That's the phrase I always use. I think that is very accurate for what is happening with Battlefield 6. But you know what? I'm a little surprised that this is the game I'm getting right now, and very happy. It's very familiar. It's exactly what I wanted. Feel warm and fuzzy, and it's fun to play. and that's why it's working. I think you're right that they don't need to try to do something completely different, but if they deliver a familiar style of game in a cinematic way that feels different, that just sounds like a recipe for success to me. Last couple of stories here. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will reportedly not be on Switch 2 at launch. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will not be available on Switch 2 at launch, an insider says. Deal Labs writer Bill Kuhn, who has a lengthy track record of accurately reporting release information, says that despite Microsoft's pledge to bring Call of Duty Series to Nintendo, they can confirm that there will be no Switch 2 version of the game when the game is released on Xbox Series, PS5, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. This doesn't necessarily mean the game will never receive a Switch 2 port in the future, simply that it won't be ready on day one. This is probably something where it's like, oh, are they just not following through with their promise? Maybe a little bit, but also they probably only have Switch 1 dev kits, and they only maybe they got Switch 2 dev kits recently, but I wouldn't be surprised if anything under the Microsoft umbrella is still kind of waiting to get Switch 2 dev kits, or at least teams are like struggling to get it. Even Call of Duty, because Nintendo's just weird about that. Obviously, they would love to have Call of Duty money, but I think they are. It seems like they have kept Microsoft at arm's length, despite their warm relationship, because they're like, you still make a console, we're not going to give you our console early. And even as the system is out, we've heard developers are still struggling to get it, maybe even Call of Duty studios. I think this is a byproduct of that more than anything. And even if they do have Switch 2 dev kits at this point, they're not going to rush that to get it done. They'll just put it out on Switch 2 later. So I guess that's the question. Is Black Ops 7 end up on Switch 2 at some point, in your opinion?
I would assume so, especially with how quickly they like to turn around these projects in general. They have a last gen version. They have an Xbox One, PS4 version still. Christ. And that can, pretty easily port over to the Switch 2. And I do think that you're right that this was just a case of them not getting dev kits for any number of reasons at this point. If nothing else, the fact that if they got them, sometime earlier this year, it's still entirely new hardware for them to work on. They didn't put out a Call of Duty on Switch 1. And so, thanks to the failure of the Wii U, they probably just felt a little bit burned by that. Maybe there's some internal stuff about, we sure about this? Are we sure that the Switch audience will buy Call of Duty? And I think maybe there's just some slowness on their end as well. It could be any number of factors coming together. But I do think that Black Ops 7 specifically, why'd they do 2 in a row? I think it could show up as soon as they want to get it out. This is another one where, hey, put out Q1 next year. Call of Duty is still popping off around that time. If it, assuming it will, because the previous gen versions do as well. Full crossplay, integrating in with the Call of Duty ecosystem and everything. I think they'll do well no matter when they put it out. So even if there is a delay for technical reasons, sure, why not? I think maybe. This is just coming into my head right now. Maybe it's because they need to get Warzone going on the damn thing at the same time.
Probably.
And building a port of that would also be another studio. That would be something that Raven would be doing, or they outsource it. It's just going to take time to get all of this up and running on an ARM chip, a completely different platform than all the rest of these systems that were just mentioned. It's a matter of time. I don't think it's anything malicious. It's just, we're a little slow going.
Yeah, I think you stumbled onto there at the end. That's probably right. The Call of Duty machine is such a behemoth itself. It's such this massive thing of, we talk about, just Black Ops 7, just port that to the Switch too. It's actually there's a lot more to consider there. There's the Call of Duty headquarters thing where they want you to go into the app first and launch stuff from there because they want you to have the full experience and get you into Warzone. They want to have that ready. And so we're talking about not just one team getting a Switch 2 dev kits. It is 7-8 teams across all these different things getting up to speed on working with the Switch 2. And that's just not something they're going to distract people with while they're trying to launch this game on familiar platforms with the expectation of they're going to deliver a certain amount of money on day one. Let's just do what we know, and then we'll get around to figuring out this new stuff that is going to be a distraction. Right. I don't think people are does this mean we need a Switch 2 Pro already? I don't think it's that. Call of Duty is on Xbox One still. It's on a VCR. It's probably going to run like shit on there, but I guarantee that this game would run better on a Switch 2 than an Xbox One VCR.
Yeah, DLSS, baby.
Last story here. Xbox announces a big list of games for its 2 Gamescom broadcasts next week. Gamescom's next week. Opening Night Live is on Tuesday. We're going to try to figure out if we're going to be able to pull off a talk over. I want to, but it's right when we'd be doing the Bombcast. So if we do it, we're going to have to move things around. We'll give you guys some more info once we know exactly how we're going to play that. As far as the Xbox at Gamescom broadcast, it looks, I think they're doing sort of a Nintendo Treehouse Live sort of thing. All-day broadcast showing off one thing after another, starting with the Xbox ROG Ally on Wednesday, August 20th. Then they're going to have an update on Flight Simulator, Dying Light, the Beast Keeper. No, Dying Light, the Beast, and then Keeper is a separate game. World of Warcraft Midnight, which is the big new expansion for World of Warcraft. They will show off Black Ops 7, Grounded 2. Then there's a bunch of other games from partners, it looks like, Hotel Barcelona, Invincible Versus. Later, they will show off, later that day, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, The Order of Giants. I'm excited about that. I want to go back to Indiana Jones. On Thursday, they will show off Ninja Gaiden 4, At Fate's End, Onimusha Way of the Sword, Age of Empires 4, Overwatch 2, High on Life 2, and The Outer Worlds 2. There's more, as well as Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles, and Lego Voyagers. And then they're going to end the day with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which is out not long after that. It's at the end of the month. So actually, it's the next week after that. So one more party with Metal Gear, and then we'll get that game. That sounds promising to me. I'm going to check a lot of this out. Well, of course, Wednesday and Thursday, they'll have all these things popping off. If there's any news, we'll talk about it on Game Mess Mornings. Looking forward to do that. But I'm getting excited about Gamescom. How about you, Sean?
Yep. There's a lot of games in here that I'm looking forward to. I'm just curious to see how much new stuff they show, because I feel like sometimes we just get expanded versions of stuff we've already seen at Gamescom. But what we've heard that Resident Evil 9 is getting a brand new trailer and stuff. So yeah, well, the summer game mess, as it were, is a lot less exciting than E3 season, but I think spreading so this stuff out can still be exciting. And I'm looking at this list from Xbox, and yeah, there's some stuff to be excited about here. So I think I'm in the same boat as you.
Excellent. All right. You know what? That does it for the headlines. Let's get to the poll question from yesterday. Then we'll wrap up what we're going to be doing for the rest of the day, and then we'll finish the week with the Bomb 12. Let's refresh here and make sure that I have the most recent info on. Yes, here we go. Here's yesterday's poll. Do you have PlayStation Plus? The options were yes, premium, yes, extra, yes, basic. Again, I'm not sure if that's the name, but whatever. Everyone gets it. And no. 54% said no. That means 46% does have one version or the other. 17% have premium, 10% have extra, and 19% have basic. We brought this up just because we had some updates on some games getting added. I was curious to see where the audience is at. That's a lot of people to have PlayStation Plus. So one of the conversations we had yesterday, Sean, about this was, that next Xbox, if it's going to be a PC, they're not going to be able to charge for online anymore. Maybe they have some sneaky way of justifying doing exactly that, but in my mind, they're saying you're going to be able to have. If you play your Steam games on there, they're not going to be able to charge for multiplayer using your Steam games. So it's going to be weird if the Xbox games do require it. But there's so much money in charging people for online, and then all the extra games on top of that. That's almost a bonus. People seem to mostly pay to be able to play their games online. Is PlayStation going to be like the one console? I guess Nintendo requires online as well for payment. So I don't think this is going away. There's so much money there, but it does feel antiquated at this point, right?
Yeah, it does. As soon as I'm finished wrapping up some projects that I need Adobe products for, I do plan on trying to take the plunge over to Linux on my PC.
Hell yeah.
And the problem with that is things like Secure Boot for Battlefield 6 and not running even under a virtual machine. So I was thinking why just play those on my PS5 now? Because I do have a PS5 now. I just even plug in a keyboard and mouse for Battlefield 6. Then I realized, PlayStation Plus. Right, I would have to pay for that, and that's the trade-off. That sucks. Maybe I'll do it anyways, because just to play Battlefield 6, $12 a month, not have to deal with Microsoft. Maybe that's worth it. We'll see. Also, I looked it up, and it's PS Plus Essential.
Essential. Thank
it's
you. Yes.
essential that you have PlayStation Plus.
Uh-huh.
According to the poll, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not.
They're gonna want you to charge for it. Yeah, and with the Xbox thing, that is an interesting point, because I think it all depends on how PC like the next Xbox is. I think if I had to bet, it's going to be less forward-facing PC-like than people are expecting. And maybe that's how you can get away with either charging for gold or at the very least really pushing Game Pass. And it's maybe just they figure out another way of shuffle things around and it's like include into one of those lower tiers again.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's see. Let's talk about what's going to be happening on Giant Bomb for the rest of the day in a little bit. We are going to be going to License to Thrill Food Edition. We are going to be playing various food licensed games. We'll probably get some of that Treasure Land game, the Ronald McDonald one from Treasure. I might go get Pepsi Man. I think it's time for Pepsi Man to that again.
Pepsi Man's fun.
Yeah,
it's bad. That's fun.
It's bad but fun. So we'll do a bunch of stuff like that. That'll happen at 12:30 Eastern time, and then at 3 p.m. Eastern time, it's UPF. We're going to start with Dragon Drive, and then we're going to do that campfire game that was in that Nintendo Direct not too long ago. That has all the game chat features built into it for the Switch too. Looking forward to that. All right. I think that does it. So let's wrap up the show with the Bomb 12, everybody. Yeah. This is our segment where we ask you, what are the games that matter right now? What are you playing? We have the results. They are in. Let's get to it. Here's what we have this week. Starting at number 12, Merge Maestro, holding that spot firm. That is the hot new sort of like a combination game, like it's threes mixed together with like there's an attack system. I still have not played it because I'm afraid, but everyone else that is playing it seems truly obsessed with it. Number 11, new game, Mafia: The Old Country. Did pretty well. I've learned so far with the Bomb 12 that games that release the week of the Bomb 12 struggle to get really high. So I won't be surprised if Mafia: The Old Country is a little bit higher next week, but it did crack the Bomb 12 this week. Number 10 is Heretic plus Hexen. I'm still enjoying that. That's a big pop off for that game. Number 9, Grounded 2. Number 8, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. That is also holding strong. I bet that game actually holds on for a few more weeks even. Number 7 is Street Fighter 6. People still, it's the Evo Shine for sure. But even before, even before Evo, this was on the Bomb 12. Street Fighter 6 just might be a perennial hit here.
It's just a great game.
Number 6 is UFO 50. That popped off on Switch 2, and cool. So a big reason that was on. It was on last week. I think I'm a little surprised it's still there this week, and it's very high at number 6. So UFO 50, people checking that out now that it's a little bit more easily accessible. Then number 5, you did it again, folks. Umamasame Pretty Derby is back, and it's very high on the list. My horse freaks out there. I'm very proud of you. Number 4, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. This top 5 does seem like it's getting mixed around. Death Stranding did very well last week. It was number 2, I believe. Number 4 this week is still very good, but it did get bumped down due to number 3, Battlefield 6 beta. That game, I think, barely cracked the Bomb 12 last week. This week, of course, it was going to get up there. It's free for people to try last weekend, so I think a lot of people did try it. And that's showing up here. But even that game, which is massive, that's been the news stories about Battlefield 6, this entire news cycle, is, hey, everyone's playing that thing. It still wasn't enough to knock down Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which is back up to number 2 after dropping a little bit last week. That's impressive. And, of course, as predicted, number 1, still Donkey Kong Bonanza. Probably doesn't get knocked off until Metal Gear launches. I've been saying that this whole time. It is fascinating, Sean, to go through the Google sheet of the form responses and order it by A to Z. I want to look at it and see what their responses look like, and just Donkey Kong. Tons of people still playing that, and that's the Bomb 12. Everybody, congratulations to Donkey Kong Bonanza and every game in there. Congratulations to everybody for helping form the Bomb 12. We'll do it again next week. I'm really looking forward to it. With that out of the way, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It was a fun time, Jeff.
Thank you all for watching and listening. Be sure to go to that MSI store and use the Bombcast code to get your 10% discount. Thank you for watching. Like I said, best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.